If you're watching this on LinkedIn, though, just make sure that you mute it.
Okay. I figured I wouldn't.
Yeah, you don't need to. Unless there's questions, I'll leave it open in case I see questions.
Do you see people that come in?
I think there's 4 people already. So I don't think you can, like, you don't see them. So it's just like people who are tuning in.
Yeah.
I think it's like, where's the freaking chat window? Here it is. Studio chat. Ooh, it says we can whisper backstage. Public chat, here we go. Anyone here?
Okay, we started.
I think so. Yeah, so no F-bombs to start.
Okay, all right.
And we're live on, I think, go live now. Go live. Okay, we're live now on LinkedIn. Or, yeah, LinkedIn as well.
Yay.
Monica's here. Hey, Monica. Hey, Grace. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, we have a special guest this week. I decided to kick Michael Nilo off of this, trying to keep up with. I'm just kidding. I didn't kick him off. He has an FDA call. And he tried to get me to move this, truth be told, Caroline. He was like, let's just move it an hour. And I was like, no. The people need it at 9 a.m. Pacific and noon Eastern, which is kind of a lie. But I was like, I'm not going to move it. It's too much hassle. So, thank you, Alan. The show must go on. I cannot just be working around Nilo's schedule all the time. Anyway, Caroline, it is a delight, honor, privilege to have you here this week because you are one of my longest friends at FDA. Actually, we had Allison Kumar on last week, and I think she was like one of the first people that just saw me like sitting alone by myself in a cubicle at FDA and was like, do you want to like go get coffee or something? And then I was like on the other side of the building, and you were also like, hey, you would travel over and come see me and be like, do you want to come and have lunch with the rest of us? And I was like, yeah. One of the cool girls that like was inclusive. So that's my thoughts about you. I have many more, but why don't you do a quick intro for our 3 listeners?
Perfect. I am equally honored to be in your presence. I've loved watching you and your journey. It's been so much fun to just see all the evolution, all the cool things that we've seen, and started off as kind of fresh out of grad school. I think that's what we started talking about, was just how awesome grad school was and how we don't want to work with fruit flies anymore for you and for me, cells. But I have, goodness, been in the FDA medical device life sciences space for now. It's like 25 years. I can't even believe I'm saying that, but it's been a long time. And it all started with an undergrad class in biomaterials, honestly, is where it started for me. And then I just never left. It just kept snowballing from all different types of devices and different roles. But now I'm consulting and kind of working it from the other end, where I really get the best of both worlds, because I can look at different technologies, understand FDA's perspective, and I get to be a geek, and it's part of my job. So I love it.
Like, nerd out every day, all day, every day. What are you doing now, so people know what you're doing?
Oh, yeah, consulting. So we're basically working with companies, medical device companies, some biologics companies, to get through the FDA process, working with FDA communications, submissions, a lot of pre-submissions, a lot of breakthrough, some TAP. So all those niche programs, we can talk about that later. We have so many thoughts on that. I'm just trying to see really neat technologies get through. So I think that's ultimately what FDA, people that work at FDA and people that, get into the medical device space, they really want that. So it's been pretty neat to see that impact.
Yeah, reach. Okay, so the most important question that I'm going to ask you today is, what joke did you bring?
Okay, so I have no cool jokes. They're either really dorky, which describes my vibe. But so I asked my 9-year-old, and he would be the one to probably put 4-letter words in it. So I will kind of not go there. But he gave me 2. He goes, 1, why don't anteaters ever get sick?
I should confess, I'm one of those people that will sit for a long time trying to think of the answer of a joke. And that does not bode well for like a live webinar. So I'm gonna just say I don't know. Tell me.
Their antibodies keep them healthy.
Stop it.
That's so corny. So I'm like, give me another one. I go, give me another one. He goes, what do you call fake spaghetti? I'll give you 2.
Fake spaghetti. An impostinator.
Oh yeah, close. An impasta. So he gave me that.
Oh!
But that wasn't as good. I like the antibody one the best.
Yeah, the antibody one's
Antibody.
good. I think, based on last week, the best joke was Allison Kumar's.
That was so good.
So
I needed to have gone after her to not have to.
Yeah, it was. Oh gosh, I think animal jokes might be some of the winners here. So, okay, so my joke is, if I can, what do you call a hen who can count all her eggs before they hatch? A mathematic chicken.
That was a good one.
My own jokes make me laugh. You can tell what kind of sense of humor I have. All right, let's dive in. I have another one, but it can be for later as well.
Yeah, slide it in there.
All right, I guess we'll slide it in later. Okay, so let's talk about, there's some things that happened this week at FDA. Some things I don't want to talk about, but we will. And I really appreciate that people have sent a few, like, hey, could you please talk about this? And so we're going to see how we do about it. Let's start with just, actually, I think maybe it's me. I'm gonna talk about the new De Novo that came out, because I'm always keeping tabs on that and like refreshing every day. Which one, if any have come out, and it's been a lag for I think 2 weeks, but recently the Amferia wound dressing came out. Don't have a lot of information yet because the decision summary is not out, but it is super cool. The device is a wound dressing, as it sounds, because it's the Amferia wound dressing, but it's it looks, honestly, it looks like those Korean like glass face masks, like it kind of it turns into this sort of like very clear material on your skin, and it's an antibacterial patch, and there's all sorts of really cool, it has like a hydrogel, and it's like a flexible wound dressing that might also help with antimicrobial resistance. So it can bind and kill bacteria for up to 5 days. Some of the things that I was looking at their website too, so I'm like, I love wound care stuff, even though I hate the pictures,
the foot ulcers.
I feel like it's like ick factor. They're like, look at how well the wound healed, and I'm like, oh gosh, that's gnarly to see some of like, especially like diabetic foot ulcers and stuff. I'm like, oh man, I really don't want to have that in my future. But they said that maybe applying it before a surgery can help kill up to like 99.99999% of bacteria on the skin before you go in for surgery. Anyway, there's different applications. I think it's kind of cool because they started off as like an animal product in the US. While FDA does regulate animal devices, or they oversee the regulation of them, it's a lot easier to get animal products to market.
Yeah.
And then they expanded into a De Novo. So anyway, pretty cool. The other one is a PMA. And that one was there was actually a big press release that came out, I think it was this morning.
It was.
I saw like Julie Moore. Do you know more about it? Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I think it was called the Optune Pax, right? Let me see. Yeah, I think it's called the Optune Pax. It's actually really neat technology where it kind of targets the polarity of the intracellular, organelles. And so it affects basically how cells, go through the cell division process. So it disrupts it. And as you know, with cancer cells, it's uncontrolled kind of growth, and so it kind of disrupts those cancer cells. So one thing that was really cool about them, they call it tumor treating fields, I think, and so then they use electrical fields to actually exert physical forces to kill the cancer cells. And it's not one mechanism, right? They'll get it at every stage of the cell division process, like mitosis, anaphase health, all of that, which is really neat how they utilize the electrical forces to disrupt not only how, like the DNA, the chromosomes line up, they'll actually disrupt microtubule formation. So it goes along a lot of different ways. So it's actually really neat. And I believe it's driven by, I think they wear a patch and then it's like part of a wearable.
Oh, that's so cool.
I thought, and this is going way back because I think I saw their clinical trial, and I believe that it was though used with typical chemotherapy drugs when they were testing it, right? Paclitaxel, nab-paclitaxel is probably one of them, or gemcitabine. So two pretty strong drugs, I think, were part of the trial. So that's one thing that you should go check. But that was, this, especially it's for pancreatic cancer. Maybe we'll just back it up there. So it's a big deal.
Which is like one of the deadliest cancers out there, right? Like I feel, and I don't know, sometimes they go after certain cancers for like based on the technology that it's easier to treat, or like that technology is easier for like the location, based on location of the cancer, or like how the cancer is propagating. But I always love it when I see like, hey, this might be the tip of the iceberg, right? Like maybe starting pancreatic cancer, or the benefit risk is a certain way, and then maybe you expand into other indications. So I mean, it sounds, based on what you've said, and I know very little about it because I just saw it come out this morning, but I mean, if this is something that's transferable to other cancers, I just love stuff like this. This is where I'm just like, yay.
Yeah. And I mean, the biggest thing that, I had questions on was, well, if it's going to mess up, cell division in cancer cells, they found that it minimizes damage to healthy tissues. And so it's minimally invasive. And so that part is really, really interesting, how you're using and converting electrical energy to physical kind of changes. So it's a really neat product.
Not that I'm not anti-drug. Drugs are great. But I also feel like, or I should say right? It's like, I am not anti-drug, and I am very pro medical device. And so I kind of feel like whenever there's something like this, that I feel like there's local effects, it maybe not as systemic, or maybe it's something that makes drugs even more effective, or I don't know. I'm it's like a big reason why I'm a big CDRH and med device junkie. So,
and you should go check out their other devices too. They have other approvals for, I think, was it non-small cell lung cancer? I always get the acronyms mixed up, but
cool.
It's not their only rodeo show. So
not their first rodeo.
Yeah. What's here?
I mean, especially, I think it was Breakthrough, and it was also, like when I see PMAs come through, I'm always like, oh, that was probably a lot of work. But I think what I saw from like FDA's press release on it is like, it does fit nicely with FDA's efforts with like the home as a healthcare hub, and actually getting some of these things to be more accessible to more people, which is a big win. Cool. So those are our two new ones. Actually, I couldn't even find the new PMA in like the PMA database. I'm sure it's there. Yeah. Or maybe it was like, it's a new indication for a device. Anyway, I don't know. But it's hot off the presses, guys. I think did you put the Breakthrough thing in, or was that from like residual from last week?
No, I put that in. It's, it's one of the things that comes up a lot. At least once a week for me, maybe more.
Tell us what it is, because they can't see our notes.
Oh, yeah. So Breakthrough, right, is, a device that has to meet several criteria, really two criteria, whether it's shown to be a more effective therapy, treatment, cure, mitigation, right, for a known condition, so it has the potential to be a more effective therapy there. And then it has to meet one of 4 criteria, whether it's a breakthrough technology, whether it's better than something else already on the market, whether it is good in the best interest of patients, and whether there is no other kind of therapy available. So, you only have to meet one of those. Those are the subparts the last 4 that I mentioned were, criteria 2. You have to meet the potential to be a more effective therapy or treatment or cure. So, people come in, and what does that give you, right? It gives you kind of close interaction with the FDA review team. It helps you through the process. And the thinking is it's going to remove a lot of barriers so that you can have rapid interaction. You can come to agreement on your V&B test plan or your clinical protocol or your animal study protocol. And so it's removing some of those barriers to hopefully get you faster and onto the market, right, in the hands of patients or treating patients. And so, a lot of people tie that to reimbursement. A lot of people tie that to investment, which is largely true, but not everybody fits it, right? If your indications aren't for it. Oh, so this is the biggest thing too. Maybe I should have done that. Is the indications have to be for a life-threatening or debilitating disease. So if you don't fit in that bucket, then you might not be eligible for breakthrough. People obviously stretch that a bit, but I think sometimes people think if I get a breakthrough, then everything will be easier. And that is not true.
We should come up with like a top 10 myths.
That would be number at least 2. At least 2, right? And then if you're part of Breakthrough, then you can actually be part of the total product lifecycle kind of program, which is kind of TAP is what you call it, and that goes on top of being part of Breakthrough, right? So that connects you with patient partners, patient advocacy groups, right? FDA's kind of connections with CMS experts, and so those are also real roadblocks to actually getting a product to market. I think most companies realize that for sure, is that once you get FDA clearance, that's just the beginning. But, yeah, I think for me it's been just anecdotal information, but it hasn't really worked for everybody. I think a lot of times people aren't prepared to have those really fast, intense conversations with FDA. They're looking for a lot of data. They're looking for a generation of, really robust plans with justification. And so, I don't know, what are your experiences with Breakthrough and TAP?
Similar. I would say the program has evolved over the years. I've seen TAP be really helpful for a lot of folks.
Yep.
That when FDA is invested and involved and like really committed to helping that company. I agree that it doesn't, like, getting breakthrough doesn't mean like everything's all of a sudden going to become easier, right? I think that when the program was born, it was almost a rebranding of some of the expedited access pathways, which I think over time had also kind of lost its luster because a lot of folks saw it as like, oh, now I'm going to get extra attention, which is not necessarily a good thing, right? Like getting more oversight, getting more people in the room to have faster discussions can often mean more questions or like more nice to know questions that they're like, wow, we didn't think we were going to get this. And so I think what Jeff Shuren and a lot of the folks were trying to update with the breakthrough pathway is that it was going to be kind of a rebrand, and also like let's actually live up to what we said it's going to be, which is going to be additional resources and a reduction in time of interaction. But I haven't seen any of the benefits of moving more data to post-market, right? Which is one of the not promises, but one of the things that's labeled in the guidance document. I haven't seen it really, be an expedited review in any sense of the pre-market submission, and I think a lot of people think that that's what they're going to get. I think also a lot of the investors think like, well, if it has breakthrough on it, then we're good to go, or like it's going to mean reimbursed. It's going to equate to easier reimbursement, which I also haven't seen. I think somebody asked recently about, can you appeal a breakthrough decision, right? So if you get an unfavorable decision, denial of breakthrough, you can appeal it. It is, I think, a 517A opinion or decision, sorry. But you can appeal it. The question is like, do you want to do that? Like, so I've had a few clients that had appealed the decision, and either it got, I always think of it as like getting the adults in the room, or not to say that the reviewers aren't adults, they're all adults. But like, getting calling dad in to adjudicate and say like, oh yeah, no, we were wrong. Let's give this company breakthrough. But at the same time, like, that review team is still going to be a review team. So yay, now you've kind of maybe pissed them off, and is that a good thing? So I always tell people really consider whether or not that juice is worth the squeeze. I hate that ad. I use that a lot. Like, is the juice worth the squeeze? And I need to come up with something else. Like, anyway, I'm gonna work on that for next week and come up with a funnier the juice is squeeze. Yeah, so I think breakthrough, curious. I think it keeps evolving as well, right? Like, I think we're all still trying to figure out the benefit of it for some companies, and I have seen it for many. Went to LSI last year, and I kid you not, most of the pitches, people would get up and say, we were also designated breakthrough designation. I think when money is listening, right, when these VCs or investors are listening, that means a lot. It signals to them that you've had an FDA interaction, it went favorably, and that FDA has just sort of given you a gold star on your first book report that says you're special. So
I would say that at least with breakthrough and TAP and all of those things, it is handled a little bit differently within each division. In terms of not the bar that they're setting, but some groups are extremely swamped, and so we're not getting breakthrough decisions like it's past 90 days. Other times it is, we get it really, really quickly. So, really it's just to be patient. I think FDA is dealing with a lot of, obviously, change, and the review teams I know are working really hard. So that, I give it to, at least the OPEC. From what I've seen, they're really trying their best to get things done as quickly as possible.
Yeah. I'd almost love to see, here's Allison's, little girl hopes and dreams. It would be really cool if the program, or at least TAP, what they're trying to build there, it would be so awesome if they could spin it out. Almost let's take this outside FDA, have it be some sort of, I don't know, kind of what the consortia did for pediatrics, or could it be some sort of FDA funded entity that really helps give these companies this breakthrough designation that then gives them a lot of extra resources to try and help speed up their innovations? Because I think one of the biggest things that I've seen for TAP is that Kimberly Fearlin, who's just freaking awesome, she's one of the folks that I've worked on TAP stuff with, is she'll reach out to payers, and she'll work with them and say okay, here are the considerations for clinical, here's what we would need in order to get payers, and they can bring all those people into the room because they're FDA, and when someone says hey, it's FDA calling, can we talk to you about something, people pick up, right? So I feel it would be awesome if maybe, and if CMS is going to offer some reimbursement for stuff, if we could get this sort of out of FDA in some way, I don't know, I think it would probably be a more effective program. If you could get investor money, right? If investors were really serious about getting these breakthroughs supported, if it were sort of I don't want to say a user fee thing, but if there was other money and resources instead of just the cash strapped FDA push it, helping these things along, I don't know. I think there'd be a better path for some of these innovative tech companies. So anyway, little girl can dream. And Ben said in the comments, he said there was a publication last year about how breakthrough doesn't meet its stated goals. Yes, and I think we shouted out Brendan O'Leary's analysis too last week. He did one for the breakthrough designation, but they keep sending out goals or their updates, kind of their report on themselves, and yeah, it's falling a little short, but I still net positive, I would say. That's my my last few TAP interactions have actually been really, really good. In terms of, they sort of behaved like they were not FDA in terms of bringing people in. CMS connected the company to CMS teams, not just one person, but several people to help them with through their process. So
then they got their reimbursement specialist to kind of connect with them. So it's been really surprising for me. I don't know if it's just my last 6 months interaction, but they seem to have really gotten a little bit more teeth in terms of what they can move forward. So I've been pretty pleased.
Yeah.
Recent.
What would you say the downsides of having breakthrough are? Holly asked.
Goodness. It's not so much
like I would say the investment. Like, you know, sometimes getting breakthrough and maybe even having a negative decision. Like, we've done it where we got like an unfavorable decision and we reapplied, and it's like, as you said earlier, like the resource suck from FDA, and is that going to change their opinion or perspective? You just have to really consider that being a potential downside. Sorry. Go ahead, Caroline.
Yeah, I think it is expectations, really, from other people who have it, thinking the bar is lower, the amount of data you need is lower. It's not necessarily that. Where I have it seen, typically where it doesn't work is just the company is not ready. They don't have they're still designing their device, right? And FD's ready. They're like, let's design your animal study. It's like, well, you really shouldn't be in animals if you're still iterating, right, on the benchmark.
Yeah.
So that's where I've seen it really. People just not using it really is what I've seen the most of. Doesn't mean there aren't other downsides, but certainly investor pressure would be one of them.
Yeah. And Ben said increased scrutiny awareness of the chain. I agree with that. There sometimes is like more cooks in the kitchen, right? Which is kind of why they rebranded it in the first place. But like, you might end up with more review staff looking at your product, which might sound like a good thing, but isn't always, right? Like you'll get more opinions and thoughts and scrutiny. So, and if they're not really totally sold on like trying to be like super helpful on helping you get through, maybe because, and I've had that happen once where like one of the medical officers was like, I just don't think this technology is a good idea. And we're like, okay. And so it was just like kind of became their like life goal. It felt to just be like, I'm going to kill this project. Yeah. And Ben said more meetings and briefings. Yes. Yeah. I feel like they're sometimes, I think you call the meetings, right? Like a TAP, I've seen them push a little bit more, like FDA's pushed more for like a monthly meeting, but you can always cancel them. But I don't know, I haven't seen those be negative yet. Anyway, let's move on. I know we have a couple more things to get through, and we're already at the half hour. The annual report, did you want to talk a little bit about that? We brought it up briefly last week, but both Nilo and I had missed it, and Kumar was the one who brought it up.
Yeah, no, I haven't gone through it in depth. I just, kind of, scanned through it. I just thought last year was just such a crazy year. And again, we're not going to go into the details of why it's crazy, but everybody knows, right? It impacted staff, it impacted just CDRH, especially just all of FDA. But in seeing this, this report, obviously it's with, certain colored lenses, but they did do a lot, right? And people still had to work through really kind of not ideal situations. So it was more that I read through it and I'm like, you know what, we are trying the best. FDA is really certainly trying to expand their footprint in areas that are largely unknown, right? With obviously the Digital Health Center of Excellence is that's been evolving over time, but starting to get that understanding, breakthrough, developing that TAP, they're developing that, and I think I feel very encouraged by what might happen this year. Is really all I, kind of got from that impact. Also, Michelle Tarver.
Happy stuff like that. Can we just
I really have a lot of respect for her, Dr. Tarver, and just her outlook, and I could really hear her talk. I probably have a small woman crush on her, but just hearing kind of how she, outlines things, and it's very practical. She's just comes at it from like a holistic perspective. So.
Yeah.
So glad she's there.
Me too. I feel like she's a big, like, beautiful energy at FDA. Like, we just need, like, a lot of that.
Yes.
That happiness and also hope. Let's just say. Anyway, yeah. Let's talk about. Oh, so I should put links in. I think last week I failed again on putting links in, but I just didn't know where to put them. But I think I'll put them into the like the LinkedIn one. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, Caroline. Can you tell? Okay, so let's talk about CDRH new. This was kind of fun yesterday. I think there were a couple posts about it that CDRH new, which was pretty much just dead for a year. It was like watching a medical drama, and everyone's looking at the flat line of a screen, and then all of a sudden it goes beep, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's alive, you know. And so there was
The meeting minutes, right?
a meeting minutes from the Medufa, and so I'm like, I don't know if it means that it's just like it was its last death rattle, or if it's like actually coming back. But I think so many of us, we all loved it. CDRH new, and it was like such a nice, you know, you'd see the good, the bad, and everything in between in your inbox, because it was kind of like subscribing to a Substack or a newsletter. But like, well, if that actually was revived and FDA was using that. The one that is alive is like this FDA newsroom, or not the newsroom, the press release, I think.
The press release is, I think, about.
Yeah, and that's where the Optune Pax and that was announced. So anyway, that's exciting.
I think the communications, yeah, I think that obviously got rattled a lot last year, and so seeing how they're going to come back is maybe going to be a staged approach.
Yeah, for sure. Some folks were commenting on the general wellness, taking the Academy, or the CDRH Learn General Wellness, taking the Academy Award for the most boring CDRH.
Was it? I missed it yesterday. Was it? I was waiting for the slides. I actually visited yesterday, but
I did not attend. My computer, I think I told you, was just like completely decided to give up the ghost yesterday, and like I had to download the whole new operating system. I was like,
oh.
So yay, technology. Anyway, I can't wait now to watch it.
We'll have a watch party. Bring our popcorn.
So don't miss that. The other thing is the real world evidence town hall is coming up on the 18th. I think that'll also be interesting. I'm glad that they're doing some of these town halls and things. Yeah, and I actually, Dr. Stephen Weber, shout out to him. He's going to be in San Diego next month, and he's going to be presenting on real world evidence and all the new guidance and everything coming out of FDA. So I think it's going to be like a hybrid event. So maybe I'll post that as well, because he was a medical officer at FDA and is like one of the most awesome dudes ever. So,
Dr. Weber. Fine expert. I still have his book on my shelf.
Do you?
Yeah. Here, shout out. Let me see if I can reach it. It's next to my.
Is it signed?
No, I don't think so. Spine Secrets.
You need to get that signed.
I do. Actually, no, I don't know. It's not signed. But look, there's like tabs in there.
Oh, that means that you actually, or did you just like stick those in just now?
No, I didn't. You can look back at the video. I took it fresh out of there.
Okay.
Back from my old spine days.
What else was there? Was there anything else? Anything else in the note or in comments? Monica, I hope they don't just read the guidance to us. Yeah, fair.
I didn't see the comments. Where are you? Oh. Where's the chat support?
Do you see there's like a public chat?
I only see Riverbot. I'm assuming that's not. I see it down here now.
Dang, I didn't even know I had a Riverbot.
You have a Riverbot.
Okay, let's do another joke. You ready? How do fish get high? Being in California, I have to. This is an important joke.
I don't know.
Seaweed.
Oh. I was totally thinking cannabis. How do I...
Or I guess like THC weed would have been good too. Or like, that'd be like a double whammy. The one that I used to always tell my kids love and like tell all the time is what is a fish with no eyes?
I've heard that one before.
I think I've told it to you because it's my winner. That one.
That's right. It's like right up there with like, what do you call a bear with no teeth? Gummy bear.
Oh. I was gonna say a bill.
you.
But I like the gummy bear better. Okay. I think that's all we got for the week. I know that we're missing a couple of things because I feel like weirdly enough, I woke up this morning and maybe also not having my computer yesterday. I like looked at LinkedIn. I was like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff that's come out. That's usually like my gauge to like look at what other people are talking about, and then I do my research. But yeah, FDA might again if they revive this CDRH new, it's gonna be a happy day.
I will, because it just gives it to us very quickly.
It's just like baby birds it to me, and that's what I need. I need someone to like pre-chew some of my FDA stuff.
Next one, you should have, what are those two eagles called? The two bald eagles?
Jackie and Shadow.
Yeah, we should just have it like in the corner where we just watch Jackie and Shadow, and then we comment, like kind of how Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg do the Olympics.
Oh my gosh. But someone told me that there were some ravens that came and attacked the nest like a couple months back.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, I'm glad that I wasn't watching like this year because I was like addicted to it last year and the year before when the eaglets didn't make it, and I was just like, oh. So, or like the eggs didn't hatch 2 years ago, and then I feel like this. I was like, oh, I need to like log in, but then someone said there were ravens, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad because I don't think I can handle that right now in my life. Like it's also a lot of anxiety.
I just want them to thrive.
I do too. Just want them to make it. Yeah. Though I will say, bald eagles are notorious a-holes. Like they, when it comes to which tracks, I think it in relation to the golden eagles. Mm-hmm. Like my friend worked for the USGS, in like for bird tagging. Like she would. And it was so fun. I used to get to go and like tag birds with her and like hold hummingbirds, like dream job. And she said the golden eagles and the bald eagles are like so aggressive with each other. And of course, the golden eagle is the bird of Mexico, and it's on their flag. And then we have the bald eagle, and they're like they keep trying to push each other out of each other's territories. So yeah, I want all the bald eagles to just like hatch and not get eaten by ravens, but here we are.
Here we are. So many ideas. So many ideas for them.
So many ideas for content.
Exactly.
Oh, finally, I'm sorry. One thing that somebody did reach out to me, and I don't want to go into too much detail because it's probably gonna make my head explode. But the FDA decision on the Moderna vaccine, which is a loaded thing, and I know we don't talk about politics and that, but I think it's also just sort of an interesting case study for like how the hierarchy works at FDA, right? Like I think because the reviewers and staff had said, this is an appropriate clinical protocol, and like this is, it seems appropriate, like how you've done it, and I think in 2004 they agreed on the protocol. And then there was the recent decision, and the head of CDER said, no, we're not going to allow it because it's bad science. And I think like Callie Means and a bunch of like folks got involved and have been making statements. But I think it's really takeaways from this, because I have a lot to say about this, of course, but maybe that's after a couple glasses of wine tonight. And in the comfort of my home. I think it's an interesting consideration when you think about like what FDA's like authority is on the chain, right? Like reviewers can say one thing, and then if they make an unfavorable decision or even a favorable decision, it could be overturned by the next level. If you appeal something, it goes to the next signatory on the chain of command.
Correct.
And you can keep appealing things all the way up to the commissioner, right? Like things can keep going up and up, but it very rarely happens where like a review team collectively makes a decision or says yes to something or no to something, and then their boss overturns that decision or overrules that decision. Yeah. And I think it's it happens. It sometimes is a shock, of course, to a lot of the companies when they're like, whoa, that did not go the way we wanted. Or, I mean, if we look at like the the recent changes to the general wellness and like, the warning letter to Whoop, and then FDA's kind of pivot on how they're interpreting the general wellness guidance, or just even like their final guidance on that. You see how things can change based on who's involved. So I don't know. Did I dance around that carefully enough?
Yeah, it was perfectly balanced. But it really does go to the fact that it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
Right? Because whenever issues come up, I always say you fight FDA with the science. Like, I don't even like to use the word fight. But ultimately, right, like you're talking science to science.
Yeah.
And so when the science shows, right, the data shows that it's safe and effective, then there's really not much FDA can do, right? They're not going to push back on that, right? But if your data has gaps in it, that's where they're like, look, we want to help you, but there's a gap, right? So fill a gap. But yeah, it happens, and I luckily have not been, seeing that too much on my end, full overturn, but right now, probably at these higher levels, especially for these big type landmark, decisions, I'm not going to say this is even going to be the first, so.
Yeah. Definitely, and I don't, it's not the first, because I feel like we've seen this happen, but just maybe not on this scale, and I think it's really, it's interesting times. I know the person who brought that up wanted me to maybe go in more detail, but I think that's all I feel that my anxiety can handle today. I'm gonna go watch some eagles.
Go watch some eagles.
I know we actually had a bird nest, hummingbird nest, right outside our front door, and I was so protective of this bird nest and these little baby birds, and I had it's only a 4-week process. There were little 2 Tic Tac eggs in that nest, and then 4 weeks later they had fledged. But I will say it was one of the most stressful months last year for me, which is saying a lot because last year was stressful, but I was just like, oh my gosh, if these birds don't make it, or a squirrel gets them, I'm not gonna be able to sleep at night. Anyway, I'm gonna put some pictures. I'm gonna put that in the chat too of the progression of my hummingbirds, that they did make it.
Oh my goodness.
All right. You're the best. You're so much better than Nilo. Don't tell him I said that.
We love you, Nilo.
I really, through this whole thing, I've really been thinking about him and hoping that his meeting with FDA is going well, because I know it was, it's always something to be, prepared for and get ready for the worst and hope for the best, so. All right, my lady, I will talk to you soon.
Good catching
and
up.
I'll see you at Wraps this year.
That's right.
The Wraps.
Charlotte.
Make sure you go.
Sounds good.
Bye, friend. Bye, everyone.
Bye.